everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're also going to be talking about it in the light of the US dollar currency index. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, Bitcoin, right now it's trading at just below $42,000. And one of the metrics we've watched over the last year pretty closely is the US dollar, okay? And going into early 2021, we were February, March, April, and whatnot. One of the reasons why we showed DXY was because we were watching it sort of level out some. And a lot of times for safety, people will flock to the US dollar out of, say, higher risk assets like stocks, even crypto. Okay, this is historically, we've seen this with stocks and whatnot. We've also seen it with crypto as well. To give you a brief idea of what has historically happened, let's just take a few minutes to discuss it. All right. So we notice there's some periods where the dollar is going up. We also notice there's some periods where it's going down. Okay. And if you look at this, if we look at this chart right here, you can see that in 2017, the dollar was going down. We also know that 2017 was a very good year for Bitcoin. Was it not? We know 2017 for Bitcoin was in fact a fairly impressive year, going from less than $1,000 or so, around 1,000, all the way up to 20,000 during that time. Okay, so we can at least say, all right, when we were going down, Bitcoin in general was going up. When the dollar was going up in 2018, Bitcoin was going down. Bitcoin was going down in 2018. All right. So generally speaking, if you see the dollar going up, historically, we've seen Bitcoin go down. When we see the dollar go down, we've seen Bitcoin go up. We can go look at a couple more examples as well. This here in 2020 and going into early 2021, the dollar was going down. We know that during that time frame, Bitcoin was doing very, very well, and it had this crazy pump to the upside. Okay, and then once we got into 2021, a lot of people are extremely bullish in April and May and whatnot. You guys know, on this channel we were a lot cautious. We were saying, all right, guys, we're too far ahead of schedule. We see the dollar is fighting here. And by the way, if you guys go back to January and whatnot, everyone was saying the dollar's going to keep going down. And we said, well, this is actually the area that the dollar put up a fight in 2018, in fact. It's the same region where the dollar put up a fight. And so that was one of the reasons why I was interested in it. Now, as we go into, say, the very end of 2021 and going into 2022, we're certainly going to keep an eye on what the dollar is doing. If the dollar continues this rally and pushes higher, then it's going to make it challenging for Bitcoin in the short term. However, at some point, whenever it turns back around, that's usually a good thing for Bitcoin. Now, if we zoom in and get an idea of what's been going on over the last, let's say, 9 months or so, let's overlay the bull market support band. We'll also throw on the 50-week moving average as well. The reason we look at that is because we've seen the 50-week provide resistance before, and then we ultimately got above it. We found support on it. We also got rejected by the bull market support band a number of times, but now we are, in fact, you can see the dollar is holding support on the bull market support band. So you can see sort of a shift here. Now, if you want to see Bitcoin go up, then more than likely you would like to see the dollar start to go back down. Okay. Now, some people think that this is like an absolute thing, that in order for Bitcoin to go up, the dollar has to go down. It's not necessarily true. I mean, with the environment we're in today, there's really no telling. But I'm just saying, based on what historically has happened, we would like to see the US dollar currency index go down. And typically, at the same time, we'll be seeing crypto and stocks go up during those phases. But right now, the dollar is actually putting in a new local high. Today, it actually put in a new local high that it hasn't seen since November of 2020. Okay, so it's been a long time since the dollar has been at these levels. Almost a year, maybe about 10 months or so. It's been a long time since we've been at these levels. So this is certainly an interesting area to watch out for. If we overlay the 100-week moving average, this could be an interesting area to watch if the dollar continues to rally. We've seen the dollar at various phases actually hold support and resistance on this level. You can see it held support over here on the 100-week moving average. We held support here as well. We're coming up to the 100-week moving average now, and it currently is at 94.327, so a little bit higher than it currently is today. So, back in early 2021, we were saying, all right, everyone's calling for the dollar to just keep dropping like a rock, and we said, all right, wait a minute, maybe it puts up a fight. And it's put up a fight for most of 2021, right? It's put up a fight for most of 2021. And one of the interesting things is that a lot of it sort of goes against what people might think should happen, right? A lot of people think that it shouldn't be going up and whatnot. You have to remember that markets don't behave in a way that can be predicted by everyone, okay? If everyone thinks something's going to happen, usually the market has already priced that in. And what actually happens can be completely different because it's pricing in something else that they don't know about. A lot of times, if you hear about it, the market's already priced it in. So pretending that you can take the news and then act on it is usually not something that's real because, again, by the time you hear about it, it's already been priced in long ago. So now we're looking at the dollar going up, and I would say the same thing, just in reverse, especially as we get into 2022 and whatnot. A lot of people might say the dollar is going to just keep going up forever. Just like I said, it's going to keep going down forever over here. I would say, well, maybe that's not the case, right? Maybe it's not the case. Maybe this is just a region where we had to spend about a year and the dollar was fighting back against Bitcoin, but it could continue to ultimately come back down. And if it does, this would be great for Bitcoin. When you zoom out on this chart, it really does tell an interesting story because in all of Bitcoin's history, let me just show you, in all of Bitcoin's history, it only takes into account from say, January of 2009. This is the dollar. This is what the US dollar has done since Bitcoin has been around. But then you go back and look how much history we have just on this chart since then. If we zoom out even further, what you'll notice is we have these pretty large concave up patterns here, right? Down and then back up. So we've been fighting over here in the sandbox for a while. But eventually, if the dollar were to break this level, if the dollar were ultimately to, say, fall down below this level, then I imagine it would actually be fairly good for Bitcoin, okay? So, when we talk about lengthening cycles and whatnot and the rally continuing to go on beyond, say, 2021, then what we would probably be looking for is ultimately for the dollar to get rejected somewhere over here and then to start trending back down. And that would hopefully catalyze another move by Bitcoin. Until then, the dollar has been rallying for the last several weeks. So momentum has a way of carrying things higher. We will want to keep an eye on it. Now, if we look to see at these current levels, again, we had a wick over to this level a few weeks ago, but we just had a wick today that took us even higher than we've been for about a year almost. This will be an interesting level because when we were on the way down right here, the dollar spent from July of 2020 until November of 2020, sort of just hanging out in this region. And now we're sort of back into that region again. This is a key area to watch, okay? I don't think enough people watch the US dollar currency index because they just don't care about it. They're not, it's not like they're necessarily doing anything with it. But it is a good benchmark, I think, for say, watching the stock market, watching crypto. You can see the dollar so far this week is up 0.46%, which is pretty good for the dollar. We can see that the Dow Jones today dropped, over 1.5% or so. The S&P 500 dropped a couple percent. So it's not really a huge coincidence when you're seeing sort of the stock market and whatnot drop or watching the dollar go up as well. But this is something I think that is worth keeping an eye on because, again, this is ultimately where the dollar found support back in 2018. And it sort of had a double bottom here throughout 2021, which has given pause to this Bitcoin rally. I've spent years listening to people tell me how great 2021 was going to be for Bitcoin. And as far as I can tell, 2020 was a lot better. If you consider what Bitcoin did in 2020. In 2021, right, so far, again, we have another quarter to go, and we know a lot can happen in Q4. But so far, 2021, we started the year off at what, $28,000 or $29,000, and now Bitcoin is trading for $41,000. No one's gonna get out of bed for a $41,000 Bitcoin. I mean, this is not a huge change between what it was at the beginning of the year. So right now, Bitcoin has been struggling, as many of you guys know, over the last 4 or 5 weeks. You might wonder, well, is there something else we should be watching? The answer is yes. Watch the dollar. You can see that the dollar has been moving up over that same period of time. Okay? So if you see the dollar getting rejected and heading back down, then that could be an indication that Bitcoin can pick back up. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember to check out the premium list. You can find that at intothecryptoverse.com if you want to know how I'm navigating these markets. Thank you for tuning in, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.